screen here. There we go. So you guys can see just the PowerPoint. You don't have to look at me and be distracted or anything. Because I talk with my hands a lot. So today we're going to talk about how to reconnect with clients post-COVID. So I know that it's still, you know, kind of full force, depending upon where you are. You might still have some stay-at-home orders. I know everyone's still trying to stay 6 feet apart. So I really want us to start thinking and looking at some creative ways that we can connect with clients or reconnect with clients, and even just how to kind of prepare for the future. So today I'm going to go over 3 things that I've just kind of thought of that I think might be helpful and interesting and something to start thinking through. But today's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try to leave a little extra time at the end than normal, so that we can have a little bit more of an interaction with some Q&A, and maybe if there's something that you think of or that you're planning on doing that you want to share with the group, feel free. I know that this is a little bit different as a webinar, so just put it in the chat and I'll share it. So that's kind of the game plan for today, but let's get started. So the first thing we're going to look at is the 3 ways I want to talk today. So we're going to look at how you can get together with your clients. And I know, again, depending upon where you're at, that could be very different. It could look very different. We're going to talk about why it's important to double down on social media and how to pivot to digital. So that's just kind of an overview where we're going. So first, let's talk about get-togethers. So whether this is in person, which that would be ideal, but again, everyone's different. Everyone has a different setup depending upon where you are and what the government is allowing us to do. So this may not be the most tangible thing, but I think it would be one of the wisest things to do is to plan ahead for when you can meet in person. So why? Big reason is that research has shown that face-to-face communication is 34% more effective than remote contact in terms of achieving your desired outcome. So whatever the case may be, so whether you're looking to just connect on a human level with somebody, or you want to discuss something that's difficult or an issue that's coming up, or if you want to celebrate something great that's happened, I'm sure we can all appreciate the benefit of being able to do that face-to-face and in person over, you know, having to be on the phone or even on Zoom. So that's why I think really trying to find a way to get creative and meet with your clients in person as best you can. You know, obviously if you have a whole bunch, this may not be tangible. So kind of thinking through that, but this could be a really creative way to kind of reconnect with people who may have fallen kind of to the wayside during the pandemic. And I also think that it's going to be different than what most people are going to be doing, right? So obviously following all CDC guidelines about how far you should be from one another, wearing masks, washing your hands, like all those safety things. But a lot of people are going to be looking for some human interaction. You know, we're all surrounded by the same 10 people, hopefully. And for some, it may be even less than that. And so being able to connect with other people, especially people we enjoy and that we like, which hopefully are all of your clients, I think is just going to be a really great way to rebuild some of that connection that may have dissipated over the last couple of months. So again, if you need to, you can substitute a phone call, and you know, even avoiding Zoom can be helpful because you've probably read some of the articles, or maybe you've seen the headlines. There's all this, you know, study now about Zoom fatigue and all of that. So if you can, try to give a couple different options of how to connect. But overall, being able to connect with this client is going to be really, really helpful. So that's just one option. Some questions I think that would be really important to ask regardless of how you connect with this person is first, how has your business been doing since the pandemic started? You know, this may be something that you already know, but I think asking that question, even if you've been with them kind of every step of the way, allowing them to really talk about it and focusing on listening to what they have to say and really being attentive. I know for me that a lot of times I really want to focus on fixing things and trying to be like, okay, here's our problem. This is the easiest solution, or this is the best solution. But I think a lot of people are just going to be looking for someone that can really support them, that can listen to them and can encourage them. So asking that question and being prepared to not necessarily have to be fixed for it at that moment, and being able to come back to that later, I think is another way that you can kind of stand out from the crowd, because everyone's going to be, you know, vying for new clients, saying, here's how I can fix this, here's how I can fix that. I think what people really need is that connection piece. So thinking through that as you connect with new or current clients is really helpful. The second question I would ask is, what are your top 3 priorities for the next 6 to 9 months? Most people have had a complete life, upside down. Like everything is different. The way that we interact with each other is different. The way that we do business is different. For some people, their entire business might be different. They may have gone from a brick and mortar to now an online business. Like whatever it is, there's something different about the way that they're doing business. And so asking them this question not only helps you to figure out, okay, how can I help and support here? What can I offer? But it also helps them maybe to think through those things. Because oftentimes, we might all be in survival mode still, and they're not really thinking, okay, what is my biggest priority? Do I need to, update my website? And I haven't even thought about that, but now I'm an online business. Like all these kinds of things can be really helpful. And asking that question, and again, just listening and thinking, okay, here's how I can encourage, here's how I can help, but without necessarily feeling like you have to go right in and fix everything in that conversation. And then the third thing I would ask is, how can I support you and your business as you plan for the future? So I think even with your current clients, I try to do this as often as I can with my clients. I've had this conversation with a couple of them recently, kind of even asking them all of these questions. How can I help you? Because ultimately, regardless of the work that we're doing, when we're working for someone else or with someone else, we want to support and we want to serve them as best we can, and to help their businesses flourish and grow, or help them accomplish whatever they're trying to get done, right? And so asking them, hey, how can I help you, helps them even to put you in the mix for them as they're thinking about solutions to their problems. And so being able to have that conversation and get those thoughts churning is really helpful. So, again, if you can't get in person, try to get on the phone, try to get together, ask these questions. And if this means that you need to plan a couple months out, which may be the case, now is a good time to look at it. If you have a big book of clients and you really want to meet with as many as possible, planning now for even meetings in July or August can be really helpful, because it gives you plenty of time to prepare. It gives you plenty of time to get to a place where you can say, okay, I know that we're not going to get each other sick or get into trouble if we meet up. But thinking ahead so that when things do kind of return to quote unquote normal and everything starts ramping back up and people are a new kind of stress, you'll be one of the first people that they get to spend time with. So that's just one idea. Do with that what you will. Again, every business is different, so this may be a possibility for you. It may not, but I think it's a really creative way to think about how to stand out from the crowd. So the second one that I want to talk about is doubling down on social media. So we've seen a serious increase in social media, as one might expect, and you probably see it in the news. And if you follow anyone who talks about or writes about social media, it's all over the place. So a couple different things, Instagram stories has had a major boost, about 15% in usage since the outbreak, because people are looking for entertainment, they're looking for connections, right? And it's an easy way to stay updated. I know one of my friends from Georgia, she was posting a hashtag COVID Chronicles, and she's hilarious and she's fun and she's like super extroverted. So she literally was like doing the most while still staying at home. And it was super fun. And I was, watching so many more of her stories, and she was posting more stories. So, think about if she was a business and she had been doing those things. So that's just one kind of interesting stat there. Another one that's really interesting is that incoming engagements have increased on an average by 44 engagements per day across all networks and industries. And I think this is a really interesting statistic, because it means that people aren't just viewing more and more content, they're actually engaging with it. They're talking about it, they're commenting, they're sharing, they're liking, they're doing something. There's an action being taken. And some of that probably has to do with the fact that they can get on Facebook now because they're not at work. So their boss isn't going to look over their shoulder and see. But I think part of it too is, again, people are looking for that connection. And so being able to connect with someone virtually through these different platforms is really, really important and helpful. And then another stat that I thought was interesting, that on a per post level, they saw an increase of about 7.3 engagements per post per day. So it's kind of that same metric as the stat above, but it's on a per post level. So, if you had one like or one comment on an Instagram post, this is saying you might now have 7. So I think that that's a really interesting stat as well, as people, again, are spending more time, they have more time to engage with all these things. And I don't think that'll change rapidly. I think that, we're going to see more and more people slowly getting back into the workforce and things getting normal, but they're going to be using social media as ways to connect, maybe even ways to distract. And so being present there is going to help you to stay at the forefront of their mind. So some important steps I think for you to take, or at least to think through, is review and update your social media strategy and plan. So whether or not you've been using social media, maybe you've just started, maybe you're looking into it, whatever that is, take whatever plans and strategies you have and look at them again. Even if you just finished them 2 weeks ago or last week or even yesterday, go back, give them a little review and say, okay, if I'm thinking about how my business and how things are going to look a few months from now, does this still match up? Do I still have the time to do the things that I'm saying I want to do? Or do I need to kind of rethink that? So that's a really important thing. That's something I'm currently doing with all of my platforms as well. The second thing is to schedule when you will do the necessary work to create your content, engage, and review your reports. So there's a lot that goes into social media marketing. If you've been doing it on your own, or if you have any experience with it at all, or working with someone, hopefully you've seen some of that, but I know a lot of people sometimes have different expectations of what it looks like to market your business on social media. And the biggest thing that I see people struggle with is understanding how much time it really takes. And so being able to schedule ahead, okay, I know I need to create X amount of content every month. When am I going to create that? And putting that into your calendar. That's really, really helpful. And it helps you to see how long it takes you to do it so that you know, okay, well, when business ramps up again, am I going to have the time to do this? Am I going to have the desire to do this? All of those kinds of things is really, really helpful. And the third question that kind of goes with that second one is, do you have the time for it, or do I need to outsource this work? So I'm sure you guys have seen a million different posts from different people talking about social media managers. I mean, I am one, but thinking about, is this something that I can continue on my own, or do I need to make sure that if I want to continue doing this level of engagement, that I have someone in place and I can afford to pay someone to do this for me? Oftentimes that's where a lot of my clients come in, is they say, I know this is important, I know I want to do this, and it brings in new business, but I just don't have the time. And so finding someone and starting to look now so that you have the right person in place and have them ready for when you got to dive back into your regular work and you can't do this as much is really helpful. So thinking about these things ahead of time is going to set you up well for the future. All right, the third one I want to talk about is pivot to digital offers. So again, connecting with people on digital platforms. So we talked about connecting with people in person. We've talked about connecting with people on social media. You can also connect with people on different digital offers and websites, a million different things, right? So you might have started an e-commerce business during this pandemic because your physical store shut down, or maybe you have a co-working space and you're not able to be there because people can't be within that same space. Everyone has to stay at home. And now you're doing all of that networking and working together online. Doing all of that and connecting with people still and finding ways to do that, whether it's through Zoom or on Facebook Live or in Facebook groups, whatever that is, recognizing this pivot and deciding whether or not that's something you want to continue to do is really helpful. And then creating a plan on how you want to do that to connect with people. Because if you're now offering virtual options for something that used to only be something that was in person, that opens you up to a million new clients, right? Like you could have a Zoom call with someone in California or Texas or Canada that you wouldn't have been able to meet with if you were trying to do just one-on-one in person. So thinking through how that's going to change your business as well, how you want to promote that, and how you're going to connect with people is really helpful. So like I said, digital business and e-commerce is booming. And I think adding a digital branch to your business is a really helpful thing, regardless of what you're doing. Kind of thinking through, are there ways that I need to or could connect with people on these digital platforms that I haven't been? So important steps to take. 1, update your business plan, your sales and marketing plans, all of that content. Go back through, update it, leave it, as that working document and say, okay, this is what I was doing, this is what I'm doing now. How do those two things combine together, and what needs to change? Do I need to completely change my business from a physical, maybe brick and mortar or in-person business to a completely digital one? Or is there some kind of middle ground that we can find that I can really rest in and find some great clients there? So going through, updating that, keeping those plans, constantly revisiting, all of that is really helpful. Second, update your website to reflect the changes to your business. I know that this is probably the last thing on most people's minds. I know that even with these webinars, I'm like, gosh, I'm trying to create this landing page, but when I have to decide between doing that and doing work for clients will always win out, right? And so taking the time to update your website to reflect the changes to your business, especially after you decide whether or not you're going to continue them. So if you've been offering virtual options for things and you decide you want to continue to do that, make sure that's on your website so that people now know that that's an offer. Maybe it's been just a small little announcement on your site. Build it out into a full page. Really update your content online to reflect what you're now offering. And this is going to take time, right? You're going to have to figure it all out. You're going to have to update it. So schedule all that time out and give yourself a good solid deadline for when you're going to do that. And then third, revisit your clients and offer them these new things that you're creating. So maybe you have a client that you regularly meet with in person and you want to now offer them a digital or virtual service. Or maybe you want to mix some of the two. Whatever it is that you're doing, see if your current clients are in need of this new offer. And just kind of reconnect with them. Again, that could be something you talk about when you meet with them, when you have that call with them, when you really revisit your relationship with them and try to build on that. So that was a quick run through. I know that seemed pretty quick, but I wanted to just give kind of 3 things. Now I want to open it up for questions, comments, interesting thoughts, whatever you all have. This is your time to shine. And if you don't, that's totally fine. If you have a different question about anything, go ahead and ask. Let's see. It's exciting to see all the new folks. I'm glad you guys are here. Are there any ways that you guys are finding your clients are looking to connect with you again? Or are there some clients that maybe said, hey, I have to revisit this? Are you guys having those conversations now? Say in the chat if maybe that's something that you're experiencing. And if not, you can just say, nope. All right, Karen, you have a question. Let's see. How often should you be posting on social media like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn? Karen, that's an awesome question. So it depends upon your audience and also your capacity. So some people, this is my calendar. Some people say that, if you post every single day, you'll get more followers. That's not always the case. Some people find that annoying. I like to post anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week on each platform. Twitter, you really can do daily. But I know that for my highest levels of engagement and just even my capacity to create posts, monitor them, and engage with them, I typically aim for 3 to 4 a week. So that's a great question. All right. Robin had a session with a client who moved to San Diego. Awesome. So you were able to do that and get connected. I love that. All right. So Darcy, you have a question about digital offerings. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed on what to focus first. Website update, social strategy, under the hood prep. So that's a wonderful question. I think the first thing I always do is a bit of a brain dump, right? So I write down literally everything I have to do. I did this the other day when I was looking at my landing page, right? I said, okay, I need to write copy. I need to figure out the format. I need to figure out how to integrate and connect the different apps that I want to use so that the experience that whoever's coming to my website has is ideal. And so I went through and I said, okay, I've got to do this behind the scenes stuff first, right? So you've got to set up all of that content behind the scenes, get it ready, get it prepared to go out. And then I would say update your website, right? And then once you have your website updated, you can then do your social media, because you want your social media to point back to your website. So I think that can be really, really helpful. So as far as the specific things that you mentioned, I would do kind of the behind the scenes, under the hood prep, then focus on your website, and then focus on your social. I think that'll be a good, hopefully less overwhelming way to go about it. Oh, Robin, that's great. I'm glad you guys were able to find a different way to kind of still get connected. All right, Bridget, you have a great question. What are some of the resources to help with understanding how to move to an effective online business without getting overwhelmed? Bridget, that's an awesome question. I can definitely, send you some more resources, because there's a lot out there that people are writing. I would say the first thing is to pick the platform that's right for you. So depending upon what you're offering and how you want to essentially sell to people, right? So if you're maybe doing a physical product that gets sent somewhere, something like Shopify can be really helpful, and they make it super easy. And they have a lot of resources there. Whereas if you're just creating a new opportunity and you're going to directly invoice people, I've created websites that are just super simple, and the way that people get connected to me is they email me, and I just go through that. So I would say definitely looking at some of the new articles. So you could literally just type how to pivot to a digital business. I found a lot of articles on that, and they really break it down. I know HubSpot is a really great resource for me. They have like a multitude, like a crazy amount of resources. And then I know Shopify and Squarespace, which they'll obviously promote their own business, but they also have some great resources there. So that's a great question, Bridget. If you want to connect with me via email, I'd love to talk with you some more about that. Robin, that's a great point. Yeah, you're offering some new things with online booking, and having your website updated and organized for that is a great point, and that should definitely be something to focus on. Right, that you have a great question. How to structure content that is related to helping current or prospective clients with COVID-19 disruptions for an email marketing campaign. That was a great question. Okay, how to structure content that is related to helping current or prospective clients with COVID-19 disruptions for an email marketing campaign. So the way I like to break out email marketing campaigns is I do it by theme, right? So if you are going through the process of how you're going to structure your content, I would think, what are all the questions that people are going to be asking, and specifically about COVID disruptions, all that kind of stuff, and then coming up with the answers. So someone might say, okay, how do I win that client who, broke our contract or asked for a contract freeze for this amount of time? And then you can give them some answers there. Or maybe, you talk about clients who had to pull back. How do you get them to re-sign a contract at the same level that they were at before? So I would think through all the kinds of different questions and essentially create a series for the next however many weeks or days or however you structure your email marketing to go through and answer those questions. And they can be short little answers. They don't have to be like, a 20-page blog, anything like that. And just giving them some practical tips. The thing I found with email marketing that's really, really helpful is making sure that you have a strong subject line. And I tested out with CoSchedule's headline analyzer or email subject analyzer. I'll put it in the follow-up email. But that one's really simple, and they just say, hey, this is most likely to get people to click on it, and this is people not likely to click on it. So having that to draw people in, and then having content that's really easy to digest, and honestly to skim through and make sure that people are connecting with it. So if you want to talk some more about that, I'm happy to connect with you over email, and we can kind of look at that, because that's a great, great question. You guys are asking some wonderful questions. I love this. So I accidentally did something to someone. Oh, someone raised a hand. Okay, awesome. All right. Wonderful. Well, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to send me an email. And if there's something that you want to follow up some more on, that I talked about, please, again, feel free to contact me. Everyone who attends a session gets a free 30-minute call with me. We can do Zoom, we can do a phone call, and we can talk about whatever it is that you want for your business. So whether it's with digital marketing on social media, web design, email marketing, SEO, all that good stuff, we can chat about that. So please feel free to reach out to me there. What I would love to do is just let you guys know that as I'm planning for these webinars, I'm looking at the next 6 weeks after June 30th, which is coming so much faster than anyone would anticipate. And so I would love to hear from you guys. What are things that you want to know about? Are there specific content topics that you are just dying to get some more information on, or just need some help understanding, or whatever it is? Please send me an email, or in the follow-up email, there'll be a form that you can fill out for some feedback. And at the bottom, it'll say, what do you want to hear about? I create these things for you guys. And so I really want to make sure they're actually helpful. And so knowing what you want to know and what you want to hear about will help me to make the best possible mini session for you. So that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for coming. I know that you could be literally anywhere else right now, and I'm so glad that you decided to spend 30 minutes with me. I hope that you found it helpful and engaging. And what you'll expect coming up is you'll get a recording and the PowerPoint in a follow-up email. And then invite for next week will come in your inbox as well. And next week, we're going to talk about networking digitally. So this is really fun. I'm excited to talk about it. This is how I get a lot of my clients. 100% of my clients have come through some kind of digital network, which I think is super fun. So if you have questions, shoot me an email. But thank you all so much for being here. And I hope to see you guys next week. All right. Bye-bye.